Welcome to today's WSP Snack and Learn webinar. It's called Reducing Operational Extreme Weather Risks. My name is Elizabeth Loader, and I'm very pleased to be with you today. Introduce myself for a moment. I work with our digital environment group at WSP. I've been with the company nearly 17 years now. I started out as an operational meteorologist and then became involved with some of our projects as a project engineer. I have done some weather station installations and repairs in my time. That's what you see in the photos there. And these days, I'm a project manager. I work with some of our largest road weather contracts, and I'm also our climate innovations team lead. So our unit is geographically diverse. It makes it fairly unique in that we're located all across North America and beyond. Personally, I am presenting today from Newfoundland and Labrador. It is a Canadian province on the northeastern portion of Canada. And for those who are not acquainted with it, Newfoundland and Labrador, or NL as I may call it, is comprised of mainland Labrador and the island of Newfoundland, which is really known for its extreme weather. So when I talk about extreme weather, mostly our winters are very well known for snow and extreme amounts of snow. We're influenced by the warm waters of the Gulf Stream along the eastern shore and the cold Labrador current, which comes down along the northwest portions of the island. So it really does create a volatile environment for a lot of interesting weather, and it does attract meteorologists who are interested in the extreme winter weather. But we also have a very significant fog season and high winds in the spring and summer. And so that is equally hazardous. But some of the pictures that you see here are from our 2020 Snowmageddon, as we called it, which was an extreme event. We saw over 2 days, 91 centimeters of snow, which is just about 3 feet for our American friends. So that was a lot to get in one storm, and there was a state of emergency called for just about a week. There were high winds associated with it, which caused a lot of drifting, and it was really problematic to clean up. So they did have to call in the armed forces. We got everything cleaned up, but significantly, our weather office and our forecasting team did not miss issuing a single forecast. We'll talk more about our operations as today goes on. So the agenda for today's meeting is we're going to do an introduction to the digital environment team, of which I am only one small part. And then I'm going to delve into what it's like as an operational meteorologist, how it is on the desk, the duty forecast desk. We'll talk about the science of winter weather forecasting. That'll be just one slice of the day for the forecasting team. And then the art of client consultation. This is the differentiator for us, is the human element and the engagement of our forecasting team. And then we'll finish off with how we reduce operational extreme weather risks. There will be time for questions at the end. This is a 30-minute presentation. And then there will be a question period. You can enter your questions at any time during the presentation in the question box, and those will go directly to our moderator. And we will get to as many as we can. And then I'll also provide our contact information. There is a handouts section in your webinar platform, and this presentation is in the handouts section, as well as our statement of qualifications, or SOQ, which includes the contact information of a lot of my colleagues who do different aspects of work for our unit as well. All right, so digital environment, it's a team of about 50 people, and they are scientists, engineers, technologists, meteorologists. We have oceanographers, we have software developers, and a bunch of other scientists and professionals who all are focused on providing science-based and data-driven intelligent solutions. We're looking to allow our clients to effectively prepare and respond to climate risks and other operational challenges. So it is customized and tailored to each individual client's needs. So we provide a lot of different types of analytical services. And you see in the pictures here some of the weather stations that we have installed and maintained. And we take all of that data and we display it to the client visually. And you see a snapshot from one of our web platforms, and we will talk about that more as we go. So digital environment's goal is distilling complex data into actionable insight. The branch that I come from is called Weather Impacts at the bottom green section there. But all of the different segments of our business come into this core idea of resilience. So we have our operational branches and we have our strategic branches. So I work alongside a remote sensing team. We have our real-time support. So not only are our forecasters 24/7, but we also have our own IT support that is ready to handle any after-hours issues. We have climate science and studies, our climate risk and vulnerability assessment, and as well our emergency management branch. And all of these solutions are relying on our integrated cloud-based infrastructure so that we have redundant systems and we're able to provide adaptable, agile solutions for our clients. So what services do we offer? This is a list of some of the services that we offer, and you can find out more in the handouts. But these are our basic lines, and our main lines are our climate risk and adaptation section. We have our weather forecasting and consulting. So that's for terrestrial, land-based. We also have marine and offshore support, as well as aviation services. There is a full emergency response and emergency management branch. We have our oceanographic team as well. One of their modeling diagrams is shown here at the bottom of your screen. And we do all kinds of modeling, dispersion modeling. We do shallow and deep water. And operations analysis is another branch. We have our remote sensing team, and the upper illustration here is from their work, really very interesting and cutting edge technology that they're using as well. We have our instrumentation branch. So anything from recommendations to installing to maintaining in harsh environments, that is done by our instrumentation team. And of course, we have our software developers, which make everything visualized and able to be delivered to our clients. Who utilizes our service? The answer really is anyone who needs to move or manage people, goods, and services. So if you have personnel or logistics, if you need to move people from one place to another, if they're reporting to work, everything that's impacted by the weather can benefit from the service. If you're doing sensitive operations, perhaps a certain wind speed or wind direction is impactful to your business. So anything either ahead of a storm, during a storm, after a storm, we do all of that support within our products and our delivery. We work for school boards. We help provide visibility forecasts for helicopters. We do all kinds of route forecasting on land and sea. Rail, we do a lot of work there, and it's not just along the rail lines, but also at the facilities, parking lots, pathways. Pretty much every aspect of work is touched by weather in some sense or another. We do have a very extensive offshore support program as well for oil and gas. We work for mining, various power applications, natural disaster mitigation. We also do some fun projects with sports teams, film crews who need particular settings and particular weather to be able to know whether they can move crews into certain areas, and major events such as concerts or parades. So today I'm going to pull from various winter weather examples, but I'm happy to expand on any of those other service lines as well if there is interest. So what we do in the weather impacts team is we're all about reducing risk. You see a snapshot here from our weather web portal, and this is our main conduit to provide information to our clients. Here we're giving them real-time data as well as forecast information. And we will layer onto the portal, whatever is the critical parameter for any given client. From here, we branch out into maintenance decision support, which I will show later in the presentation. We also support virtual RWIS, which is an exciting technology, active transportation, and the consulting piece, which is really important, is not just a static forecast, but the ability to interact and engage with the forecast team. We do all manner of statistical analysis, historical analysis, summary of seasons and winter severity. It's really endless, the possibilities of how you can visualize and utilize weather data and forecast data. So we're going to envision that we are sitting at the forecast desk and we're the operational meteorologist on duty. We have about 20 certified meteorologists on our staff, and they rotate through shifts. So we are operating 24/7, 365. We have to be there at all hours for our clients because they will call in whenever there is adverse weather. And given our geographic spread, there's almost always something going on in one of our jurisdictions. So our forecast team is answering the phones and issuing forecasts around the clock. And we have a rotating schedule. It usually is about 12-hour shifts. So you'll work from, say, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. or from 7 p.m. overnight to 7 a.m. And then you do a briefing with the next forecaster coming in to hand over the shift to them. And it's very interesting work. We have some very dedicated people on the desk as well doing quality control. So there's a senior forecaster who's on duty to answer questions, discuss the dynamic setup, and really delve into the details to ensure quality control. So the forecaster's job is to identify the ongoing trends and compare that with the current observations of the weather forecasting and output the future projections of where we think that the weather systems are going and subsequently where we think the precipitation is going to be falling and what type of precipitation is really key. So we use guidance models and we look at all the available guidance, and we're looking at radar, satellite information, and we're digesting all of this information and relying on our experience and our expertise to decide where these systems are headed and what impact they're going to have on our clients. So a day in the life of the forecaster is you will come in and you'll have a full schedule to follow. And this schedule, you will have conference calls, you'll have weather briefings, you'll have issuing of forecasts. And the main screen that our forecasters are dealing with is the in the middle of the screen here, you'll see these are our grids. So what we do is we take the globe and we create grids. Maybe they're 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer, different resolutions. And what we will do is we then we'll select the numerical weather prediction model that best fits the current situation. And we can blend these models. We have advanced tools that we've developed inside this forecast engine that we can call upon to tailor and blend these models together. So we work our way through the schedule. There are a lot of breaks and times when you have to step away from the screens, which is important for a 12-hour shift. We take all that into account. And we're continuously updating these grids to be the best representation of what we think the weather patterns are going to be. Then our forecasting tools will extract that information and display it to our clients. And it will extract whatever parameters are meaningful to that client. Some really require detailed wind information, whereas others may pull precipitation information. There are many different weather forecast models available. Basically, these are simulations of how the atmosphere behaves. They use a set of mathematical formulas to predict what are the future atmospheric conditions going to be. So the input is the weather observations. So you'll see at the bottom of the screen some current observations. And as we're sitting there analyzing the situation, we'll look at the current observations. For coastal and island environments, we rely very heavily as well on satellite, which is the color picture in the middle on the right-hand side. And we'll also look at radar, which you see at the top. And then we have our model guidance. So each model has different limitations and tends to perform better under specific conditions. So we rely on our expertise and our knowledge to know what is the best fit for a given scenario. So the publicly available weather models, there are regional models, there are global models, so they're different domain sizes, different spatial resolution. There's also time resolution. Some models will give you new guidance every 6 or 12 hours. Others are run on maybe a 3-hour interval. And then we also have the frequency at which we can pull new forecast information. So some of the models are looking at the next 24 hours or the next 48 hours, while others are medium or longer range, looking at 7 to 10 days in advance. And there are different accuracies involved in each of those various types of models. We also run in-house modeling. We have our own capability in-house to tailor certain models to our needs and the needs of our clients. And so we will look at all the potential solutions, both internal and external, and we will devise the best or most likely scenario that will occur, and that is what we'll advise our clients on. And we do err on the side of caution, depending on how sensitive our clients are to certain thresholds. But what's different from a public forecast is that we will break down hour by hour exactly what conditions we're expecting. And that way a client can see if they're going to exceed any thresholds of concern for their operations. And they make logistic decisions based on that information. So our confidence, because unfortunately we can't be 100% correct all the time with forecasting, and so there is a confidence factor, and it depends on several things. Confidence is greater with the short term. The models are very good at predicting in the 24-hour period. Once you get out to several days ahead, you do start to introduce that error. And we look at the trends. This is why we're continuously doing a weather watch to see how these models are handling a system. If we have consensus, meaning if many of the models are converging on the same solution for a storm, then we have higher confidence and we can convey that to our clients. So for example, if they're all predicting 5 centimeters of snow for Saturday, that's 2 inches of snow for Saturday, then we feel fairly confident that in that amount. But if we have a range from, say, 5 centimeters from one guidance to 40 centimeters from other guidance, then there's more uncertainty. We also look at consistency in a given model. Is the storm consistently moving over the area, or as more iterations of the model run as we get closer to the event, is it moving the positioning of a low? So we do look at all of those things, and that helps us to inform our clients about our uncertainty levels and our confidence in a given forecast. This really facilitates better resource planning. That allows our clients to decide when to deploy resources, when to plan ahead, especially for these larger events. So I'm going to focus in on one aspect, which is our road condition forecasting. The factors that impact road condition are many. There are diverse environmental conditions that are impacting it. So for example, you can look at the bridge surface here that is freezing before the surrounding road. It's really impacted by the ground temperature and the ability for the cold temperatures to surround the bridge. And so we look at, when we're trying to predict not just air temperature, but road temperature, we have to look at the time of day. Is the sun shining? Do we have solar radiation? Cloud cover is a big indicator of whether or not heat can be held in overnight, or if we're going to lose a lot of the heat from the surface during the nighttime. Wind speed will be a big factor in whether or not we're going to have icing or moisture on the road surface when precipitation is not falling. But of course, when precipitation is falling, that is a major impact on the road condition. And so our transportation clients do rely on us to predict this with some accuracy so that they can plan accordingly. So we are involved in every aspect of road weather. at the very start, we will support a needs analysis and make recommendations for our clients on the type of equipment that they might want to use, the size of the network that might be needed for a particular jurisdiction, what kind of data coverage we might already have from surrounding agencies. We do work cooperatively to connect people who are putting networks in the same jurisdiction so that they can share data and leverage the existing infrastructure if they're interested in doing that. So we do every aspect from installation to operation of these systems, maintenance of these networks that's unscheduled when there are failures, as well as annual inspections to make sure that everything is up to standards. And then we'll do the polling of these stations. So we connect either by cellular or satellite connection and collect that information in real time and display it on our web portal. And many of these sites have cameras. Those give the operators a look at what the road conditions are like, and they share that with the public in most cases as well. And folks do use that heavily when they're trying to decide whether or not to go out on the roads. And then all of this monitoring feeds into the forecasting and consulting and decision support that I've discussed. So we will right size a solution to the client's needs. There are full-blown towers, like you see they're installing a large meteorological tower, and that's a static tower in one location. We also have more mobile solutions. We have smaller outfits like in the top picture where you see just installed on a pole using solar power so that we don't have to tie into the existing infrastructure. We also have mobile sensors, which I will show later on in the presentation as well. So road weather information systems, or for short, RWIS, the key here is that we collect data directly from the pavement. So whatever your weather-related issue is, we have to fit the solution to the problem. So the problem in the case of motoring vehicles and the public transportation is that we want to know what the condition is that they will be driving on. So we install these sensors directly into the pavement. And we have the towers by the side of the road with the communications and power and other instrumentation on it. And all of this data feeds directly in. It will tell us what is the pavement condition that is detected. It will also derive the road condition and the salinity. So it will detect how much chemical is present within the liquid that's on the road. And so that will tell us if there is enough mobility, or if we're having issues in terms of traction, then they can go and apply a chemical or abrasive to deal with that. So our operators are constantly watching the real-time data, but what we do is we take all of that data from the atmospheric, from the road, and our raw forecast models. Then we will do the analysis of what we think is the most likely forecast. And then we feed that through a pavement model. In the case of our North American operations, we're using the Metro pavement model, and that will create an RWIS forecast. So that forecast is unique from a regular public forecast in that it predicts pavement condition and pavement temperature out for the next 24 hours, hour by hour. And this is key for our winter road maintainers because they want to know how much chemical to apply and at what time. So by breaking things down hour by hour, you're looking at a road forecast here. So the top colors are going to indicate what type of precipitation we're expecting. That red is quite a few hours of freezing rain in this example. And the bottom half of that forecast is showing you the road conditions and the pavement temperature. So the colors are indicating to us, based on what we have predicted the pavement temperature to be, when is that pavement going to freeze? In the afternoon, even though there's freezing rain predicted, we're expecting a wet pavement, that's the green color, and then it changes over to a freezing rain at 5 p.m. So that is the indication to the operational staff of when they need to be out treating the road versus when we have safe conditions anyway. We do a mobile version of all of our forecasts. So the web-based delivery is much heavier, has a lot more content, but we do have a light version that we send for mobile use for smart devices that you see in the upper corner. That distills all the information into one quick glance product so that our clients can see that they're increasingly on the move when fighting winter weather. So the web portal that we use is called Decision View, and this is how we display our real-time data to the clients. So we'll display their network. What you're seeing here is all of our road weather stations color-coded. The green is showing dry conditions, and some of the blue colors you're seeing there are indicating wet pavement. So as a front comes through, you can see where the rain-snow boundaries are. You can see where the freezing temperatures are. And that illustration is really important for clients. Increasingly, they're looking for more and more quick glance products where we can just look at a web portal and immediately see where the problem areas are. So we do use a lot of color coding and various visualizations to really make that decision-making process faster. So we layer onto this map anything that a particular client would need. So in this case, we have the observations and we can hover over them to get a lot more detail about each one. And then we're layering in the weather warnings. That's the orange and the yellow colors that you're seeing. And then we can add radar, we can add forecasted conditions, and there are many layer options, but each one is customized to each individual client needs. We also have the mobile app. These are the same kinds of information, but displayed in a very quick to navigate way, because increasingly people are using our services from a tablet or a mobile device while they're out actually fighting the weather. So Maintenance Decision Support System, or MDSS, takes this a step farther. What it does is we have these close relationships with our departments of transportation clients and our municipal clients. And what we can do then is they can share with us their rules of practice. And what we can do is create a road treatment recommendation. So it utilizes their handbook to suggest what road treatments would be necessary based on the expected weather. So it illustrates what will happen to the mobility of the road based on our prediction, and then what treatment they would pull from their own rules of practice in order to effectively make the most of that treatment. This is driven by industry recognized algorithms. So the Federal Highway Administration in the United States worked with the National Center for Atmospheric Research and several other labs, including MIT, and NOAA was a big partner in this, and they created the algorithms that do run MDSS. And what we did there was then customize it to our own clients' needs. So that the input is their rules of practice, the observed road conditions from their network, and our RWIS road forecast. And what comes out, the output is their own road treatment recommendations. So if you were to follow the recommendations and the weather forecast, this is what a person would do. And this is very helpful because it's another tool for people out fighting snow to be able to know when they're going to get the most out of their treatment. People who have implemented this, there have been third-party studies that have shown anywhere from 30 to 40% less chemical is used when you're implementing advanced proactive tools like this. The same kinds of savings are seen in reduction in truck hours, reduction in the number of trips that are needed, huge recognition of the increase in operational lead time that's associated with this. And there is an increase in being able to treat proactively and plan ahead. But there's also a post-storm analysis that can be done to see how well are our rules of practice serving us. Right now, we do have a lot of the workforce of maintenance operators who are retiring. New folks are coming in. They may not have as much experience, and this tool is instrumental in helping them to make their decisions, help with consistency across the board for these applications, and make sure that, that ultimately we have safe roads. So this is a snapshot of what our MDSS looks like. We have in red is our atmospheric forecast. Then in blue, those columns are our road condition forecast. And the green columns are that road treatment. So this would look different depending on any client's rules of practice. And that's key, is that even though there is an existing MDSS module that's been developed, you have to tailor it to the particular client's needs in order for it to be most effective. So we can see here when those treatments occur. It's recommending a certain amount of abrasive or a certain chemical or a plow at a given time. And you can actually see, as the applications are made, the impact that it has on mobility. So auxiliary to this is our mobile ARWIS for places where we want to fill in between the static stations. We can use mobile sensors. So those are mounted right on a vehicle, and as the vehicle drives, it creates these maps that will map the road temperature in real time. And as that information comes in, we can create maps of what the current road condition is, not just at one place where we've put in an environmental sensing station, but all along every kilometer or mile of road in between. So we work with several clients that relay that information back to the public through a 511 system, which you would call on the telephone or use on the web applications such as this. And so the public can log in and actually see the conditions that are being collected by these vehicles. And that's all used to be done by hand, by radio operators, and there was a lot of delay and potential for things to take some time to get relayed to the public. So now they have instant access to, is the road that I'm going to travel snow covered or not? Meteorological support is a key differentiator for us. There's a lot of sources of public data that are available, but our consultation is being able to reach the meteorologist and discuss what it is that you're seeing in your forecast. So there's a 1-800 number, or they can chat online with our meteorologist directly, and training that goes along with that, because actually interpreting the forecast correctly is key to its understanding. So in the last minute or two here, excuse me, I just wanted to cover off a different aspect, emergency services. What we do flood alerts for clients who are looking to see if we have flood level criteria. And so what we do for those clients is, if certain thresholds of rain are going to be exceeded, we will issue alerts. So our forecast team will call municipalities and affected states or provinces, and then they can proactively take steps to keep people safe. Some clients prefer to get a severe weather outlook in a map format, so we do that as well. We can put out severe weather warnings, tornado, hail, show the affected regions visually through products such as this. Another thing that we do is intelligent alerting. One thing, we have several corridors where traffic is impacted by high winds, and the crosswinds are such that they actually can blow trucks over, as you see here. So we put out advisories where everything is automated. If our weather stations are detecting high winds above certain thresholds from certain directions, we will put out warnings automatically on digital message signs, or we'll flash beacon lights, or whatever the needs are for any particular jurisdiction. And there are tremendous safety gains and reduction of economic losses to be had. So as our station will put out conditions, for example, if it detects low visibility, it will send one of these red messages out to our clients and let them know what actions were taken. Was a bridge closed? Do they want to activate a bridge closure? So these are customized to the individual client. To finish off, I wanted to talk just a little bit about our Decision View portal. The idea here is that we want an at-a-glance longer range forecast where you set thresholds of concern. So what you see along the bottom of the map is the individual thresholds. So for example, high winds, high heat warning perhaps, heavy rain, and you set the thresholds depending on your operations. And then we're going to predict what the likelihood is, of that outcome happening. And so green is indicating that those days are clear of hazards. And then we start to use the yellows and oranges to indicate where there is a higher likelihood of crossing that threshold. And the red is almost certainly we're going to cross that threshold. So clients can then look and plan ahead to where the days of concern are, and it's uses just very clear stoplight colors to show you whether or not you need to look deeper into the forecast. So this can be a high-level tool that people use in order to see if everything is green, then they maybe don't have to dig into the details of the forecast as heavily. If we're showing red, that's when they might call, schedule a weather briefing, and really dig into the details. So we do have different formats. Some clients like to see a map with these red, yellow, green indicators on it, and others like to see those details in a time scale, or others just purely want to see those stoplights as physical dots there. So this dashboard is very easy to interpret, very easy to set your own thresholds. And so this is just the first stop in determining, what is the risk level. It is a fully advanced modeling tool where you can drill down into each of these individual risks and look at the consensus and the differences between the different model guidance and how close we are to your thresholds of concern. So to sum things up, the digital environment group, the key takeaways from today, basically this is smart implementations of advanced proven technology. The idea is that we can leverage our experience and our expertise and balance that with innovative technology. So getting the right balance is the key to making the most of your resources. It's optimizing whatever investment the clients are making in their infrastructure, in their people, in their work. And we can do this 24/7, anywhere in the world. And we just look forward to hearing more about, how we might create the new solutions for other challenges that people are seeing. So the right balance and the right connection between the technology and the expertise is what's really key for success here and guarantees a safer tomorrow. So I will leave you with the names of my colleagues who have all the various different branches of digital environment covered. As I said, climate innovations is only one tiny part, but if you're interested in more about remote sensing or oceanography, I encourage you to go to the handouts and collect this information, get in touch with my colleagues, and I can also connect you with them directly. But at this time, I will conclude and ask if there are any questions.
Thank you, Elizabeth, for a fantastic presentation. So just mentioning the housekeeping items briefly, you can find in the handout box, like Elizabeth mentioned, the presentation slides along with the statement of qualification documents. And also you can continue to log your questions in the question box in the GoToWebinar control panel. So I will start with the first question. Has your team explored using similar data techniques for buildings and energy?
Yes, yeah, we have had clients in the past who have property management and are looking for asset management. This is a great tool for that. They use it for any number of things. One is energy usage. We can predict what the solar radiation is going to be like and what kind of impact that might have on the air conditioning and heating of particular properties. As well, the parking lots and sidewalk management as that pertains to winter weather. So there are a lot of different applications that are building specific, and property and asset management is one thing that we have supported, absolutely.
Thank you. The next question is about CFD. Do you essentially use macro scale computational fluid dynamics for forecasting?
So there are a few different aspects here. So we are looking at the large scale dynamics. We're also looking at small scale. For example, We look at global models. They're going to tell us, especially when we're looking into the medium and long range. We also use extremely high resolution models that would pick up smaller details, such as if we're looking around, say, the Great Lakes areas of Canada and the US, where we might have lake effect snow, or our island locations where we might get the ocean effect snow. That kind of very hyper-localized banding, we need to look at very high resolution local modeling as well. So we do have modeling capabilities in-house, and we do customize the solutions in-house when that's needed. And we do host all of our modeling is done cloud-based, and so we will basically tailor the solution to, are we looking for short range, medium range, long range, and what's the geographical area? If we need to cover a very large area with high resolution, we can do that, but it really is fit for purpose.
Thank you. Additional question from the same person. Do you have an in-house high-performance computer, HPC, or do you use cloud-based computing resources for large models?
Yeah, I would defer to my colleagues on exactly how the IT or IM information management side is done, but yes, we did move everything into the cloud environment for redundancy. First during our Snowmageddon shutdown, and then during the pandemic shutdowns, we had to move everything into an environment that essentially could work anywhere. So we don't have very many resources that are based in a particular physical location anymore. We do use Amazon Web Service.
Thank you. Do you verify your forecast? And if so, what kind of accuracy do you achieve?
Yes. Verification is key. Verification does require there be observations from the ground to be able to verify against. But many of our clients actually have verification requirements, and they're contractually written in there, and there may be certain thresholds which we have to hit. So we do measure our accuracy, especially when there is a dense enough network where we can provide meaningful verification statistics. And we have had third-party verification done as well. So for the road weather that I showed today, they're very sensitive to road temperatures. So that's what we verify against for that. And our accuracy is 95, 96% in those first 6 hours, which is the most crucial for delivery of road weather operational decision making.
Thank you. The next question is, let's say I want to install a weather monitoring station. How do I decide where to locate it?
So we do location surveys before we start. So if you are looking to have monitoring of a particular work site or project, we would apply the WMO, the World Meteorological Organization, the siting requirements. So there are certain guidelines as to how close you could be to obstructions. So you're looking for a very flat level area without obstructions. And we would look for power source, communications availability. So we typically will go and do a siting with the client. They'll indicate what their preferences are, where their problem areas are, and then we will do a full siting make sure that we do meet the regulations and requirements for monitoring. And then we can put together a recommendation of, for example, maybe 3 sites in order of their suitability. And then we can come to meet both the client needs and the regulatory requirements as well.
Thank you. The next question is about MDSS. Do you have application of the MDSS system with the train operations?
Okay, this is a good question. I think I may have to come back to you on this one, but we do. There would be an application. Just would have to check with my colleagues on that and make sure that that I answer that fully. So we'll take your contact information and follow up with you after this call.
Fantastic, thank you. We'll take the last question. You mentioned subsurface temperature sensors. To what depth below the surface do you measure?
So the road forecasting that we do, we typically require the temperature of the surface itself, and those sensors will also measure 6 centimeters below the surface. And then we will include subsurface temperature probes at 40 centimeters, 30 or 40 depending on the application, and then up to 150 centimeter depth. And those are the readings that will help us to determine how the subsurface temperature is responding over time and the impact that it's going to have on the pavement temperature and the pavement condition. So those measurements help us. We also do have some clients who are concerned about pavement strength. They implement winter weather weight premiums to their highways when the ground is fully frozen. And they would implement in the spring when the ground is thawing and the road strength is susceptible to cracking and damage. They would actually put in restrictions on how much weight logging trucks and so on could go on the pavement. So for those kinds of applications, we actually would install many more depths. Besides just those road weather depths of 40 centimeters and 150, we would also put in a full array down to sometimes every 5 centimeters or every 10 centimeters. So we can see the profile, the subsurface temperature profile. And we actually do predict subsurface temperature as well for those kinds of applications. We can predict how the subsurface temperature is behaving and actually predict the spring thaw. And that helps to protect the assets that are susceptible to damage during the thaw.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for a fantastic presentation. And thank you, everyone, for your questions. Additional questions that were unanswered will be answered directly by Elizabeth later on. So thank you again for joining. We hope to see you in our upcoming Snack and Learn webinar series. And have a wonderful day, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.